Hello chess cadets, this is Jeremy and this is chess time. We are now going to look at the board. The board has ranks and files. The white starts out on the first rank, do you see? And then his pawns are in the second rank, see? There's actually 8 ranks in chess, see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And each letter, as you can see, A also has 8 ranks. 8 numbers, but it's not called ranks. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are all called, they're called files. Like, this is file A, this is file B, this is file C, this is file D, this is file E, this is file F, this is file G, and this is file H. And as we know that the board's divided into half. Black has 32 squares, that's his, and white has 32 squares, that is his. And the whole goal is to take over these squares, the D5, the D4, the E5, and the E4. But that's for another topic. I just wanted to share that with you. And now we're going to talk about the pieces. There's the soldiers, the guys that go in and fight for you at the beginning. They're called pawns. Then you have your weaker units, but they're still fighters. You have your bishops that are worth 3 pawns. See, chess cadets, they use the pawn as the example of how much pieces are worth. There's the pawn worth 1, the bishops and the knight are worth 3, the rook is worth 5, and the queen is worth 9. The king it's infinite, there's no pawns worth, but I've heard that grandmasters have said that because of the king movement, for the topic, we'll make it 3.5. That's how much the king's worth because of the mobility of the king. We'll talk about that later. But let's start, and we'll see how rooks move. Pawns. How pawns move are, they go either up 1, or they could go up 2. This is a very interesting thing that pawns could do. See, they could go from D2 to D3, or D2 to D4. And then there's also a special case that pawns have. Let's say that the pawn made it all the way up to D5. And then black plays E7 to E5. Only if the pawn, this is called impasse, and what it is it has to be that black or white moves 2 squares. It can't be 1. And then it actually takes, like it was actually at E6. Do you see that? See how it moves? It moved 2 squares. The white pawn takes. Impasse, remember? It's impasse. And it actually gets it as if it was on E6. Now that we have talked about pawns, let us talk about knights. Knights are a very special unit. They go up 3 and over 1. You see how it does that? They go up 1, 2, 3. They could go over to C. The knight could go over to C3. Or if it wants, it can go to A3. And let's just say that this pawn is out of the way. The knight can also go to D2. But at the beginning, the pawns are in the way, if you notice. So it only has the capability of going to A3 or C3. But the nice thing about it is it can jump over pawns, over its allies. but you can never move a knight on your own pieces. So remember that. You can't move him like here, because you're gonna, what are you gonna do? You're taking your own piece. You see that? You can't do that. But you can move him like C. You see C3. You go over to C4. Then you go to D, D4, and then E4. See? He goes up 1, 2, 3. And then he can go there. And you have two knights, by the way. See? One's at B1 and one's at G1. And black also has the same thing. But his are at B8 and at G8. Now that we talked about that the knight moves into L formation, we're going to go to the bishop. The bishop moves on a diagonal. Let's move the bishop right here. The bishop slices through the position. It could go, if it's at F4, it could go to G3, see that? Then, but it can't go to H2. We know why. Remember, you cannot capture your own pieces or move on a spot where a piece is. But it can go to E5 and D6. Do you see that? It could even take the C7. And after it took, let's just say it took, it can also take the knight. You see that? That's how come bishops are really powerful. If you can get two bishops in the center, look how much territory they take up. They attack the black dark bishop attacks all the way across here, all the way up there, and then the light bishop attacks all the way up here, all the way down there. But remember, you can't capture your own pieces. Now that we have discussed the bishops, let us talk about the rooks. The rooks are a very special unit. They move either in the rank. Remember how we talked about ranks? Ranks are 1, 2, and 3. And remember how we talked about files? Files, like there's the E file. You see that? Knights can move rank-wise, crossed, are back crossed, are up and down. So let's say we had two rooks in the center. Our rook right here, right there. Look how much it controls. A rook controls the whole. See, it controls E5. It controls D5, C5, B5, and A5. It also controls F5, G5, and H5. But it also controls, because remember, it goes by ranks and files. It controls the whole E file too. And if all these pieces were gone and there was just one rook, the rook would control the whole E file and the whole F rank. The fifth rank. Do you see? Because it's on the fifth rank. It's also on the E file. Let us now talk about the most powerful piece in the board, Her Majesty, the Queen. There's two queens. Black has one, and white has one. Remember one thing. She's the most valuable piece, so everybody's after Her Majesty. So keep her back until things are developed. Don't bring her out until you're prepared and there's defenses and she can't be taken. Because yes, she can do like the bishop. She's like a bishop. She could do diagonals. She can also act like a rook, do ranks and files. But she's also the most valuable piece, and the most the piece that she's after, that they're after, is the queen. The king is actually number one because you want to checkmate it. That's the unsaid thing. But the queen is the second most valuable piece on the board. that is our lesson for today on chess cadets, and I hope you've learned a lot, and I'll be back later.